What's up guys, it's Sean and welcome back to the iherng podcast, and this episode is brought to you by The Makeover guys. If you guys have just received the keys to your new completed unit or it's a sub-sale unit, either for investment or for own stay, you can always check out their services. Personally, I'm using them for almost all of my properties, including the one that I'm going to be moving in very soon. Well, they also have just completed their brand new experience center. Do go pay them a visit. I will put the link down below. And today we will answer a question from email. This is from Miss Pan. Dear Sean, thank you for your time and effort in helping us young Malaysians to make more informed decisions when it comes to buying properties. I really appreciate the information and perspectives that you have provided to your listeners. It shows that you truly care for their lives and well-being instead of just providing content. All these for free. I also really appreciate that you open yourself out to allow us to ask questions, and I hope that mine can be answered too. I am writing to hopefully be able to learn from your perspective on my current situation. I am 25 with a monthly net income of 3,500 a month and debt-free. I am currently staying in Subang away from my parents, which means that I am renting. My father recently expressed his desire to help me purchase a property with a max of 300,000 input on his front, which I am really grateful for and would like to put it to good use. Usually, I would hear that the best time to get a property is now if one can afford it. So I have been looking around at new projects, and talking to agents has honestly made me quite scared of them since a lot of them are quite pushy. My father's intention in putting that money for me to get a property specifically is that he hopes that all his children will have something to depend on during tough times. He already bought properties for my other siblings and he does intend to be fair to all of us. I am undecided if I should go for a new project, for example TODs like Pinnacle Ara Damansara, or buy a completed / sub-sale unit for more certainty. With the property prices in Klang Valley, it is impossible for my father's generosity to cover most of the cost of getting a place unless it's a low-cost flat, which means that I will need to take a loan. Now, here there are some factors that are influencing my choice. Number one, it's not urgent for me to get a place since I am renting a decently cheap place in Sunway in the landed home, and my fiance's family already helped him to purchase another apartment in cash. And it is ready to move in way before we get married in 2 years' time. I am thinking of renting the place out or staying in myself before I get married. Number two, I personally think that it might be a good idea to get a new completed unit / sub-sale unit which will be ready in a shorter amount of time so that we can better predict the rental yield as compared to new projects that sound too good to be true when it comes to the ROI through the agents, and the agents will say that it's based on facts. For example, Pinnacle Ara Damansara, and it does sound enticing, though I sense that something doesn't feel right. It could be me emotionally reacting against hard sellers, hahaha. And also, it's a I get what I see basis. However, based on my limited research, it seems like it doesn't quite make sense to invest in a sub-sale unit since usually people sell off their homes, I think. At least the ones that I can find seem to be family homes. Number three, I intend to buy somewhere near Sunway, but I am open to wider PJ as well. Properties here are not cheap, but I work here and it's where I am familiar with. Number four, of course, I need to be able to afford my installment, which I think it's possible given my father's contribution depending on the unit that I buy. I just think that it would be great if rental yield can cover most of the installment and maintenance of the place. I am aware that we won't always have tenants, so it's definitely better if I get a place where job opportunities are in abundance, which I believe Sunway / PJs is good. I am not too sure on how to help myself to be informed on this. It almost sounds like I am quite undecided on what I actually want. But my bottom line is I want to maximize what my father is giving me to perhaps help my future family to have a better life. My fiance and I do intend to have children, and we already want to give the best we could even though they haven't existed yet. Of course, both of us are also intentionally working out our careers to have a higher active income as relatively fresh working adults. Among a few properties that I have looked at, Pinnacle, Ara Damansara and Alora, should I bother looking at completed units instead? I know it's quite a long email and I may be too simplistic in my thinking, but I do sincerely hope to hear your perspective. If there is anything that you would like to clarify, I will be eager to reply to. Thank you for your time. So thank you, Miss Pan, for writing in. And first of all, right, this is exactly the scenario of what we have discussed years before today. I've always mentioned, in terms of world population, right? 20% of the world's population will own more than 80% of wealth. And that applies to Malaysia as well. And you know what? That gap between the wealthy and the normal people and the average people is only getting further and further across generations. Because Malaysia, we just passed Malaysia Day, right? We are about 67 years in. Therefore, when independence, right, the wealth level among everybody is almost the same one. But across 67 years now, we can already start to feel among our friends, at least for me like I have classmates who are descendants of that certain family from a certain industry that has built an empire of businesses. Then another one is like a son-in-law of a conglomerate. Also, we have our parents level who has really worked throughout their lifetime in trying to provide the best for the family, now passing their wealth over to the second generation. And this is where the gap starts getting wider. Imagine if you go to school today, your classmate next to you starts with about 6 to 7 properties already in his books, with already the right connections on where to work, where to build his career, and his pathway is almost done, planned out. Some even arranged marriage, but that is a whole different topic altogether. And that's us, like the normal folks, right, where we have absolutely nothing. And that is already a blessing. What's the worst is for those who had actually carried debts from the previous generation. So that's the worst. So in Miss Pan's email, she's 25 with 3,500 per month incomes, and her father is trying to give her 300,000 so she can use this to buy a house. And what's amazing, right? I absolutely salute your father for being in this generation where they work so hard. Each and every child in the family gets it. So you come to think about it, right? How can one generation like ours right now, right? It's so difficult to get one property, but the previous one can get one for each child. So here I want to highlight the second thing where she has been looking around, speaking to a lot of agents, and she is scared of them because most of them are quite pushy. So throughout the email, she also mentioned that whatever the agents tell them, sometimes it's too good to be true. And I am very proud of what you have done, meaning you actually go through the whole market research. But my comment here will be to research for more. So for those who are not familiar with the 4 basic steps, step number 1 is to find out the intent of the purchase. Is it for investment? Is it for own stay? Or is it for showing off? Okay. The second one is to find out how much you can qualify for a loan. What is your absolute loan eligibility based on the current income that you have against the current commitments that you have as well. Number 3, after getting that number and that intent, use those as the filter and go search around 20 different properties that ranges from old to new to landed to high-rise to city living to suburbs. This allows you to understand the amount of choices that you have within the market, and that's the beautiful part about real estate in Malaysia. You can get a pigeonhole in the city and you can get a landed homes further away, and it's still relevant. It depends on what you want only, okay? But the 20 different property visits allows you to understand what you like, what you are comfortable with, and the most important thing here is to be immune to all the sales pitches presented by the sales agent. After your 6 or your 7 property visits, right, you kind of know when they are throwing sales hook, when they are throwing sales pitch, and they will start giving you signs like, hey, you only got 2 more units left. If you want to book today, there will be special promotions. You can really watch real life, real time, them throwing all the sales tactic out just to close you. And if you can tell them apart already, that's where you are ready. You won't make emotional decisions. That's the most important thing throughout these 20 different property receipts. A lot of people choose to blame the sales agent for throwing sales tactic or marketing tactics or whatsoever, right? Well, it's their job. Their living is based on the transactions, but it's our own duty to keep ourselves informed. Therefore, 20 different properties. And last of all is to make the informed decision and take calculated risk. Moving along the email, for the husband or the fiance, the family also bought an apartment in cash. So You see, when they just baru graduate, starting work, right, already have one house in their hand and the other one coming out with 300,000 already. So you see a newlywed with two houses, straight away family gift. Some may argue that, oh yeah, this one is spoiling the children's, right? Technically, in order to spoil the children, you gotta also have ability to spoil the children's. And what I find very fascinating is when families at this wealth level, it's already beyond assets that the families is passing down already. So it's always passing down knowledge, passing down connections, passing down values, definitely beyond money. And currently, she is renting a place around Sunway, a landed house. So Miss Pan here is actually very confused whether to get a high rise that is new or get a sub-sale, or basically what do you do if you have 300,000 lah. But the bottom line is she just wants to maximize what the father is giving to help the family, as they also want to have children. Okay. In my opinion, here there will be a few clarifications to be thinking about lah, right? Number one, when your fiance's family got him the apartment, I don't think you can actually rent it out lah. I don't think so lah, because it wouldn't make sense. It's somewhat like a gift to the newlyweds, so you guys can actually start off a family together. So in my opinion, I would suggest to use that as a home, but I don't know where is that apartment actually. But if it's not too relevant to the location of where you guys are working, then right now I don't think it's a problem lah. So the good thing about that apartment is you can actually live in it installment free. You just pay the maintenance fee and that's about it. The other one is if you were to rent it out, you can already generate positive cash flow from it. So that's great, right? The second thing is when your father is planning to give you this 300,000. I don't know whether you can ask this or not. It would be a silly question, but if for me, I would ask, must this be in the form of assistance to a home purchase? Just asking, right? Just asking, because the intention, if I were to have a daughter as well, is for my daughter to have at least a safe haven in case the relationship doesn't go as planned, right? So at least if I were to leave this world already, I know that my daughter will forever have a place to call home. Or if she were to do something else, she will be able to generate, or she can sell the house or at least liquidate the money and to use it and do something with it lah, right? So that would be an intention from a father. Why I'm thinking about this a lot is because there will be this tendency, if they will give you in cash form, my concern is if you were to use it on a home renovation. So looking at it, right, like now, if your future hubby were to get the apartment, a renovation now, like my very simple 900 square feet home in Bukit Jalil, is going to cost about 100,000 just for renovation. And the tendency to use that fund to fund this renovation process is very tempting. All I'm saying is no. Okay? I would suggest to prioritize this for investment purposes to future-proof yourself. So that makes your property buying decision moving forward will be for investment first. Then the second part of this daddy's fund, right, is there a timeline to it? Because at this current junction, where your income is about 3,500 only, it's going to be very limiting. And that's the main problem of what you're facing in right now. So, due to your very limited budget, just calculate the amount that you can qualify for loan. Right? So it's most likely going to be a 400-ish, 500,000 kind of property. And if you were to be taking that sort of loan without using the money, you will literally drown and you will not be able to survive in today's high cost of living. Imagine if 3,500 every month you got net income, right? 2,000 you pass to the bank, right? Left 1,500 to live for the remaining 30 days. Whoa. So what I would suggest here is to first soak yourself in salt water. In other words, means I would suggest you to hold on this thought, dear daddy, hold on this money for me first until I am ready. Because like the whole point of you showing me that two property, which is Pinnacle and Aurora, right? There's nothing wrong with the properties, but this is the main problem about new properties. A lot of people will always say that, oh, there's no new properties where the rent can cover installment. Of course, because property developers will know how to play the game better than us, right? So if they were to calculate the rental yield in the market is about this price, it means that they can go higher because the project takes about 3 to 4 years time. So you will be paying future price for all of the projects. Plus, After going through COVID, a lot of developers were stuck and most of the incomplete projects, abandoned projects, those suffered a lot because of the uncertainty of construction costs and material costs. So for new projects moving forward, developers now, they will insert way more safety nets within their budget in case things like this happens again. In other words, it means that for me, if I were to have 300,000 cash to play about, I would definitely go for the alternatives, which is sub-sale market. If you're not sure, there will be 4 main buying channels in Malaysia. Number 1, which is new properties, right? If you buy directly from developer, where you are actually looking at. Technically, for fresh graduates, they have no choice because they got no capital. The only thing they have is credibility. So this will be their only alternatives. If not, you need to pay the upfront 10% upfront payments, right? Who can afford all those when you are just graduating lah, right? Number 2, which is sub-sale. Sub-sale is when you buy projects directly from owners. Then you will have auction market and you will have bulk purchases. So the 2 channels that I'm recommending right now will be sub-sale and bulk purchases. Because auction, there will be a lot of hidden costs, hidden traps. If you are not familiar, I would suggest only to go for auction if you have bought several already, because a lot of my friends actually got trapped. Painful experience, let's not go there. And the main problem for sub-sale actually will be the upfront payment, roughly about 18%. For example, if you want to buy an existing property that is about 500,000, you need to have an amount of cash ready of 90,000 ringgit. At least, just to gain ownership of it. And we haven't even included the renovation costs yet, and the sky is the limit to that lah. And let's just take a minimum to get it ready for a fully furnished condition, rent it out, right? It's going to take about 35,000, 40,000 for a property of 500,000. So easily you're going to have 125,000 already upfront. That's why a lot of youngsters are actually sorting to the first option of buying new. Not that they don't know how to play the game, it's just that there's no other choice, bo pian, right? So the last one is actually bulk purchase, where they purchase properties from developers in bulk. So they are entitled to more discounts. And for this, then I'm a client. It's not my company lah. I'm a client of Far Capital where they does this. So my last 3 purchases I've already gotten from them. So they are providing services where you can buy properties of investment grades at a discounted rate. And there's 2 formats of properties that will work with the property investment company. So one is where they are in the market for a very long time already, but the products they cannot sell, but the developer desperate, they want to clear off their stock, so they will work with Far Capital. The other one is when they buy upfront. For example, a brand new project haven't launched yet. This property investment company already take up 1 out of 3 towers altogether. So as a developer, it's very happy because it guaranteed 1/3 of the sales already immediately before even launch. So if they were to release to the market on the remaining 2 blocks, it's very easy and the confidence level is very, very high. So coming back, sub-sale and bulk purchases will be my choice. And it's 2 very different. One very capital intensive, one very knowledge intensive. But when you join them, they will actually teach you how to think, teach you how to research, teach you how to do everything, and they provide all advisory as well. And this is what I would recommend you to do first, because technically, when we invest in properties, throughout the channel, due to my background as well, I have came from nothing. So the way of me building equity, building my wealth using properties has always come from nothing or very minimal lah. But it's going to be a very different approach if I were to be handed 300,000. So this will be my action plan to you. Number 1 is to get yourself informed on the available investment strategies that we usually conduct when we do research. For example, we always look into the median price. Then how do we categorize locations in terms of tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3? Then we look into new properties, old properties, what's the difference between them, when do we find a right deal, then what's the right budget we should have, all those kind of things. Get yourself equipped with all those knowledge and don't let the property price scare you. Like a lot of people say like now is the right time to buy, right? To me, anytime is the right time to buy, anytime is the right time to sell. What we look beyond is actually price, especially entry price. While you are doing the research, I love it when you mention that you are working out your career to have a higher active income. That is a must actually. So may I suggest in 2 to 3 years time, when you have somewhat figured out how property investors think, then when your income is about 5,000 per month, at that stage only I think you are ready for property investment. I guess it's going to be like 27 or 28 lah. Because the last thing I would want is for you to have this expiry date, right, to this fund, so you just chin chai buy with the limited knowledge that we have now, therefore wasting the potential of this 300,000. After, when I get 5,000 income or 6,000 income, with this extra 300,000, imagine your fiance's house is ready and you move in already. It's going to be so fun. I will then get sub-sale properties where the rent can cover installment, use the 300,000 and deposit into the housing loan so it knocks off a lot of the installment. It will be so easy. Then I will venture into the bulk purchase group, which is the property investment company. I will join and use this extra income with my active income together to get more investment properties moving forward. That will be me lah, because I'm very investment centric all the way. But is it wrong then if you want to just settle for a landed home? Let's say if a house around Sunway is 1.1 million, and intermediate maybe 900,000 can get, but the amount of renovation is then going to be very intense. Therefore, going back to the first question, is this 300,000 a housing fund only, or is somewhat cash? That would be a setback for a landed house look, because even if you buy a new one today, to just simply do it, you're going to need it about 50 to 80,000 already. If you want to just have a more delicate kitchen finishing, ka-ching, 40,000, 50,000 gone like that. Oh, now renovation costs, seriously, no joke. And I guess that will be my suggestion. Right? So number one, clarify the usage of the husband's property or family, give him kind of property. Is it for own stay or is it for investment? But do communicate more with your future in-laws on what is the intention of it. Then indirectly, if it's for home, you too needs to start saving, planning out for renovation already. So just have a safety 50 to 60,000 in case it's a home. If not, you can always go to the Makeover Guys website, right? Generate a quotation of somewhat the layout that you guys are having, and you can immediately see the budget already. And in 2 to 3 years time, the cost is only going up, huh? So the second thing to clarify with your father, your lovely daddy, the format of this 300,000. Is this a format of only housing fund, or can it be the form of cash where you can somewhat compensate here and there? Maybe you want to use for renovation, but the caveat here is the renovation is for your investment property, not for the place that you're going to call home. Okay, because the intention, again, as a father to my children, it's for my daughter, my love of my life. Well, second love of my life. The first one should technically be the wife lah, but anyway, it's for her to have a safe haven in case anything happen to the relationship or the world or the society or whatsoever. If the world crumbles, she still have a place to call home. Then also talk about the timeline of the money. Is there a timeline like now, like must buy? Because the ideal one will be to wait until your income is about 5,000 net. Why? Here you get a wider range of property that you can afford. Therefore, you have more access to the right properties at investment grade. Then you won't have the urge or the deadline to just simply use this money and chin chai buy. Right? Like these two projects that you recommended, if you have not done the right research, then it's okay lah, but to me they are not the best in the market. And that's the main difference between the seasoned investor and the newbie. It's the available choices at his desk right now. Like easily I have 3 to 4 deals that is way better than this. Easily. In the meantime, when you build your wealth, when you ask your daddy to just hold on the money a little bit, right? Just put it aside first. May I recommend to do 2 things. 1, to continue research, completing the 20 different property visits. The second thing is to actually join a property investment company. Not so much about the deals. A little bit also about the deals to actually see what's available in the market. Like at normal, you get to see what agents sell, but underground, because actually this is considered underground, like underground what's available. These deals are not available and the company is not allowed to just shout out the properties like that. Oh, now we got 40% sale, cannot do like that. So by signing up to that, you get access to all these deals, but the more important thing is to get your loan eligibilities checked, also to learn how a property investor should think. Ultimately, the most important thing is the mindset. Capital is a bonus actually, because a lot of investors within the group all come from nothing, man. And that's why I am very envious of your position, Miss Pan. I am so envious. How I wish my father would give me 300,000 to invest. Wow, that would greatly change the trajectory or the other way lah, that will actually spoil me if I don't know what to do with it. And I guess that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for writing in and sharing your story. And I guess this is the next generation already, guys. Like for those who are listening to this, we'll be in a position of envy. Wow, so good, got so much money to start. And I think that should be the goal actually for our next generation. And that is something that I'm obsessed right now. How do I pass down all these investments so that my next generation can do whatever they want without having the restriction on financial, right? They can go study at Cambridge lah, hopefully not lah, but they want to have their passion as their career goal or whatsoever. But definitely we need to pass down beyond assets. So it's the principles, the knowledge, the values, and etc. etc. And I guess that's all. Dear Miss Pan, your father is awesome. So awesome, can contribute so much. Total respect, a role model of mine already. And I guess that's all for today. For those who still have any questions regarding real estate, do just email me at taniherng@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram, iherng. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.